Our nice good weather and nature that sustains eating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Women Crash Wednesday on Good Morning Uganda starts right now. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. It is the 29th day of March 2023. We're coming to you live from a very beautiful, wonderful studios here on Nile Avenue. You should always pay us a visit, or once in a while, come and surprise us. We would be very happy to have you join us. Well, my name is Philomena Masco, and we are off for the day. We are starting with quite some interesting things, and I must say things are really shaken up when it comes to NSSF. Employers who haven't been remitting payments of their employees have been only given 30 days as announced by the acting MD of the National Social Security Fund while he was talking to journalists yesterday. And it makes me wonder now, what does that mean? 30 days. What would you do if you are in that place? Clearly, if you don't meet the 30 days, there are a lot of penalties you could face. We'll be breaking them down for you as Good Morning Uganda. But at least just as a warning, you need to do the necessary. If you're an employer and you haven't been remitting people's payments to NSSF, well, clearly I can say there is quite some heat that is waiting for you on the other side. Well, I understand that Women Crash Wednesday is one of the favorite days here on our wonderful panel. Robert, good morning. Wednesday is here. Who are we crashing on this week?
Good morning.
How are
And
you?
of course, good morning, the lady next to me, and Mzee wa cousin Felix, and good morning to you. And our viewers, thank you so much for waking up with us. It's lovely Wednesday. Now, I'll begin by crushing on the early birds. Those are the ladies that sweep these streets. If anyone thinks they wake up very early, I must tell you, those women wake up so early. Can you believe, Philo, by 4 a.m. that they are stations because they must sweep, clean this Kampala of ours, so that by 6 when you come, the streets are clean. So I want to crush on those ladies. And why so is sometimes even their payment delays. Recently we saw them speak to the ED of Kampala.
Yes.
You know, they had spent about 3 months not getting paid. They don't have running contracts. They live in some of these places in Kampala here, ghettos, we can say. They come from these areas that are risky, so risky to move.
That's true.
At night. So to them, every day that they reach their workstation is a miracle. Because if you're coming from those places, there's so much insecurity, first and foremost, but then you're moving late at night to come and clean Kampala. Yet they are among the least paid in KCCA. So if we are talking about people who are patriotic, I think those women, I rarely find men, I don't know, but for me I usually see women.
Yeah.
Those women are very patriotic, and I choose to crush on you. I appreciate what you do, despite that sometimes many may not see the good work that you do to clean the city.
That's true. Challenges are very many, but I can assure you, Robert, that every single time I'm on my way to work, I will find, like, say, about 3 or 4 females on the roads trying to clean and doing all the necessary things that other people may not notice by the time they get into these roads. Molen, good morning.
Yes, a very good morning to you, and good morning to our viewers. It is Women Crush Wednesday. I don't know, this Wednesday I chose to crush on my mom. just recently I was doing a self-reflection on some of the things or the sacrifices I know she has done that I used to take for granted. But now that I feel like I'm in that position where I have to do similar sacrifices for other people, I'm like, wow, this was huge. I used to think just because, you know, I'm her daughter, it's her responsibility. She didn't have to do some of these things, actually. Yeah. So now I'm like, yeah, that is strength right there. And, well, she did a commendable job. Here I am. So meaning that, yeah, so meaning that there was really a lot that she had to do. I want to question her. She is the most amazing person in the world for me. And yeah, that's it really. But also, Philomena, yesterday, I was one of those people that was seated at home waiting to see, as I was checking online for the people that were in the park at a watch party for the Uganda Cranes game. Yes. And in my mind, I'm like, these people, did they set themselves up for a disappointment for this evening or what? But Uganda Cranes did surprise us, I will tell you, in just a last minute.
It was a late one.
Exactly, it was a late one, but a very wonderful goal that came in from KCCA's Rogers Mato Kasim. It put a lot of smiles on people, and then I was seeing pictures on social media of the people that were at the park, and I'm like, okay, yes.
It can't have been that bad, yes.
So at least we are back. Still on the statistical side, because you know we have Algeria to beat, we have Niger, so we can only pray that right now we have more energy, because that game we got lucky. Yes, there was a lot of work towards the goal, but we got lucky as well. Tanzania wasn't easy. Imagine Algeria. Algeria has had a clean slate. They are doing so well, top of the table. That means that we have Algeria and Niger to beat, to get back, and even to qualify for AFCON. But as for now, yes, we're smiling. It was a good game, but the odds are not in our favor. In any case,
I will tell you, I don't like the fact that now we have to entirely rely on luck as opposed to skill set, because that one goal, the time when that goal came in, let me tell you, I'd already given up. I
was also, I'd given up, and I knew that was it, because now that would be a lot of math to think about. That is, you're praying for everyone else to lose, at least those on top of the table, which is just impossible, close to impossible. But you're looking at Uganda Cranes right now, I think we just lack the tactical skills to actually beat some of these teams.
Seriously?
Yeah, we just don't have the tactical skills. We are there as professionals, but we are lacking something in the Uganda Cranes. And I think this is what Coach Major should be focusing about.
Coach who? Look at this gentleman. Felix.
But we have him there. We have him here. We cannot ignore the fact that he is the head coach.
Speak for
and
yourself.
Right now,
you have him.
Felix, you seem to have a lot to say about that.
He gets to choose who gets on the Uganda Cranes team. He gets to choose everything. So either we rely on him to do something tactical, or we are out until we find someone else, until you vote someone else in. I don't know by which body, but we are stuck with that kind
Felix,
of situation.
what do you want to say? Tell us. Good morning.
Trust me, Philomena, I don't want to hear what
I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, since you asked, I'll tell you, here's the thing. One of the most bastardized institutions of this country, yet later on also galvanized with some bit of nonsense. It's that institution that takes care of football. You can call it FUFA, FUFE, whatever. They're the most disrespectful bunch of Ugandans. To Ugandans, by the way. You know, they have spent a lot of time. And tell you how they have spent this time? Wasting it forUgandans. Football today has been, you know, whose hearts? Who even gave?
Felix, you're actually speaking from a broken point.
I'm speaking from a point of
the man is wounded.
Of pain.
He's heartbroken.
No, every Ugandan, actually, let me tell you what's happened. Ugandans gave up on this thing called Uganda Cranes. You people are here. Don't deceive yourselves.
They didn't give up.
No
Felix.
one.
The fact that you're still throwing the sanctions right now and complaining.
Just a couple, let me tell you, a couple of days ago, Uganda had to fly to, was it Ethiopia? Egypt, where they played the match. But you know how much money was spent for them to play an away game that was supposed to be played in Uganda? Do you know how much money was spent?
How much was spent?
We played a home
It's-
game in
It's
Egypt.
In a different country.
Yeah, and we had to pay for Tanzania to travel there, to take care of them. We had to take care of both our teams. We have to pay all these humongous, but for what reason? When there's a man here who called himself, here, going to help us build it. There's so much clutter that is in football that is even worse than politics. There's a man who has stuck himself on Ugandans in terms of soccer. There's all these things.
He doesn't want to leave us.
And I'm being honest. So when,
Specifically,
like when you talk about football, we don't even want to go there. They are so, these people taking football, it's so petty. They have made soccer in Uganda be so petty. It's like a kitchen affair. You know, and it's sad. Now, the performance of Uganda Cranes, when you talk about tactical, this one pass, that is not the issue.
The bigger issue.
Do you have the right people in the right places? In terms of governance, in terms of execution, and on the pitch. All right? So we need to, you see, let's not talk about the performance of Uganda Cranes is a chain challenge from leadership to management. People will talk about a coach. Let me tell you, countries that are intentional about soccer, you don't see these things happening. And it is very sad how Ugandans get to a point where they have normalized the abnormal.
No, they have actually not normalized, Felix. You see how very bitter you are. I will tell you that very many Ugandans are actually very, very bitter. If you actually sat down to listen to a very ardent football
We used to love football, let me tell you.
Yes.
Some of us who are soccer people, by the way, just from childhood, you look at what's happening in the Uganda national team, and you even feel teary.
It's actually
With the talent you have as a country, because we know with the talent we hold as Uganda and how we perform. People went for this most, was it AFCON? Is it Chan? Now, they came back without even a kajiko performance. And guess what the president of us said? He was so impressed with. Who told you this soccer is about you?
actually knocked
Who
out.
told you it's
We
about
were
you,
knocked
dude?
out. In the early knockout
Sit
stages,
down, keep
that's
quiet.
where we were.
Good morning, Uganda.
He's insulting
And you
people
can
left,
tell
right, over.
of heat, and I mean this definitely and you know it represents what
they go
other
through, if they
Ugandan
don't go
football
through,
fans actually feel. They feel so cheated, and they feel there is still quite a lot of work that is supposed to be done. It's not just Uganda Cranes. There is a lot of issues that have to be sorted even before we get into the team.
But you were
itself,
talking about
right
women,
from the
Philomena.
administration. Yes.
Kindly allow me to put this through.
The wounded animal ones.
Yesterday I saw quite pictures of it. The officer was, I think, pulling themselves with some young guys who were protesting downtown. They call themselves the tortured victims of Uganda, whatever they call themselves. And, you know, the lady was pulled down, she fell, you know. It was quite unsightly. And I've come across various officers at work, majorly women, and what they go through, given the fact that you may not want to believe it, but the gender inequality that comes with male and female. Imagine a police officer in enforcement. In enforcement. You know, you may have to believe it that it's maybe easier for a man to defend themselves against, you know, but you saw this poor woman, this young man, like quarter her size, held by the collar, was pulling the lady down. They fell, they stood up, they fell. It was quite unsightly. You don't want to treat a mother like that, and
It's very, very
it was very unsightly, yeah. I'll say. So on days like this, maybe you would want to crush on officers who are directly in operations, these officers who go downtown. Remember those times of walk to work, I saw them running. You see a poor woman chasing a politician, then
where you have all these rowdy people,
trust me,
and rowdy
yeah,
crowds
so
in general.
It's quite non-beautiful what they go through executing their work. We just need to appreciate that people are in some occupations or some professions, not because they are looking for work. It's what's available.
Yeah.
You know, you find women in these institutions not because they dreamt of being officers on the front line, but because that was what is available, and they have to support their families.
The realities of life have pushed them to actually go in for the available options. Anyway, right now we'll go through some of our local stories and the international stories as well, Robert.
We'll begin with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who met a coffee investor in Tanzania, while President Yoweri Museveni received the chairman of the Amir Hamza Tanzanian Limited, Mr. Amir Hamza, who called on him at State House in Entebbe. Amir deals in coffee products in Tanzania. Hamza is also the chairman of the Coffee Association in Kampala, expressed interest in adding value to Ugandan coffee. The president further informed the investor on how the volume of coffee production increased in Uganda from 2 million bags in 1986 to now between 12 to 20 million bags a year. Charles Kato of Delta Technology Corporation and Mr. Robert Nwabine, an entrepreneur, both business associates with Mr. Hamza, informed President that Delta Technology sells machinery for coffee processing. Robert Nwabine said he is investing in food processing, especially cassava and millet flour. President Museveni applauded Mr. Nwabine for his efforts, adding that such is of value nutrition.
Legislators on the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports have met the top management of Education and Sports Ministry led by Minister, First Lady Mrs. Janet Museveni, and discussed a range of pertinent issues regarding the sector. The meeting convened and chaired by the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Education and Sports, Honorable Tracy John Ntamuhira, sat at Kololo Independence Grounds.
And the Minister for Presidency, Mili Babalanda, has denied allegations that she influenced recruitment of the new board and irregular procurement at Uganda Printers and Publishers Corporation. She also distanced herself from the alleged involvement in the dissolution of the old board, apologized over the irregularities.
Now, harmonization of standards, mindset change and improvement of quality of products are vital in growing intra-African trade. This has been observed at the high-level Continental Standard Meeting in Kampala, convened by African Region Standards, our organization whose mandate is to harmonize standards, reduce technical barriers to trade and promote intra-African global trade.
Well, looking at the international stories, Nashville school shooter hid guns in parents' house. Now, the shooter who killed 6 people at a school in Nashville, Tennessee on Monday bought 7 guns legally and hid them at school, according to police. Investigators say the suspect's parents felt the 28-year-old should not own weapons and did not realize the guns had been concealed in their house. 6 people, including 3 children aged 9, were killed in the attack at the Covenant School. The suspect was under doctor's care for an emotional disorder, according to police. Now, Tennessee has no laws that allow police to seize guns from violent suspects. Despite the absence of such so-called red flag laws, police said they would still have sought to have the weapons confiscated if authorities had had any warning that the suspect could have posed a threat. Now, Prince Harry has criticized attempts by associated newspapers to have the High Court case thrown out. Prince Harry says he's determined to hold the publisher of the Mail newspapers to account, as he says he's deeply concerned by their unchecked power, influence and criminality. His witness statement was disclosed as part of his privacy case against associated newspapers. In it, he also claimed he was kept out of royal family discussions about taking legal action on phone hacking. He attended the High Court for a second day of legal arguments on Tuesday.
Kenya's Independent Police Oversight Authority says it is investigating 2 instances on Monday where police failed to protect private property in the capital, Nairobi. It is looking into the shooting allegedly by the police that caused death and injuries in the western city of Kisumu. At least 1 person was shot dead during the protest in Kisumu, where police confronted demonstrators who burned tires and barricaded roads. Now, the IPOA has called on police to abide by the law in exercising their constitutional function of protection of life and property in line with the Police Act. In climate news, the concerns of young people in the Pacific about climate change are said to be heard at the world's top court. 4 years after students in Fiji first proposed the idea, the International Court of Justice is about to be asked to decide on the country's obligations to fight rising temperatures. Now, the legal option of the ICJ, although non-binding, could then be cited in climate court cases around the world. The threat posed by changing climate is real and presents danger for a small island nation like Tuvalu. And earlier this year, it was hit by 2 Category 4 cyclones in 1 week at an estimated cost in damages of roughly half the country's annual GDP.
We're looking at the big stories in our papers this morning. The New Vision Nursery Schools tough rolls out. Museveni meets a Tanzanian coffee investor. Muhoozi assures Acholi leaders on Karamoja cattle rustlers. And employers given 30-day ultimatum over remittances. And looking at Archbishop Orombi hospitalized. There you go. Get yourself the New Vision, but we also have some big stories trending in the Daily Monitor. Felix.
Now, NSSF law starts biting employers and everything you need to know about lifts. Now, ex-Archbishop Orombi feeling much better, Kazimba comes out to say, and the best pull out on English, mathematics, science and social studies. But also in other stories, Busia family reunites with a missing son 20 years after, and Supreme Court hears only 4 cases in the last quarter. But still in the same papers, 2 children die in Namugongo accident. That's a sad one.
Sad. Well, Robert, what do you have for us this morning?
Oh, I have Hallelujah Tamarind, Hallelujah Jinga Tea, and these are products from Hallelujah Reflexology. What they do is they boost your immune system. You want to live longer, you want to enjoy life, it's just 1,500. Any of these flavors at any retail or supermarket, they are there and for you.
We'll go in for a break. When we get back, we'll be having more discussions on the newsreel. Good morning. Uganda returns shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Weather and nature that sustains eating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Women Crash Wednesday on Good Morning Uganda starts right now. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. It is the 29th day of March 2023. We're coming to you live from a very beautiful, wonderful studios here on Nile Avenue. You should always pay us a visit, or once in a while, come and surprise us. We would be very happy to have you join us. Well, my name is Philomena Masco, and we are off for the day. We are starting with quite some interesting things, and I must say things are really shaken up when it comes to NSSF. Employers who haven't been remitting payments of their employees have been only given 30 days as announced by the acting MD of the National Social Security Fund while he was talking to journalists yesterday. And it makes me wonder now, what does that mean? 30 days. What would you do if you are in that place? Clearly, if you don't meet the 30 days, there are a lot of penalties you could face. We'll be breaking them down for you as Good Morning Uganda. But at least just as a warning, you need to do the necessary. If you're an employer and you haven't been remitting people's payments to NSSF, well, clearly I can say there is quite some heat that is waiting for you on the other side. Well, I understand that Women Crash Wednesday is one of the favorite days here on our wonderful panel. Robert, good morning. Wednesday is here. Who are we crashing on this week?
Good morning.
How are
And
you?
of course, good morning, the lady next to me, and your cousin Felix, and I've been known to you. And our viewers, thank you so much for waking up with us. It's lovely Wednesday. Now, I'll begin by crushing on the early birds. Those are the ladies that sweep these streets. If anyone thinks they wake up very early, I must tell you, those women wake up so early. Can you believe, Philo, by 4 a.m. that they are stations because they must sweep, clean this Kampala of ours, so that by 6 when you come, the streets are clean. So I want to crush on those ladies. And why so is sometimes even their payment delays. Recently we saw them speak to the ED of Kampala.
Yes.
You know, they had spent about 3 months not getting paid. They don't have running contracts. They live in some of these places in Kampala here, ghettos, we can say. They come from these areas that are risky, so risky to move.
That's true.
At night. So to them, every day that they reach their work station is a miracle. Because if you're coming from those places, there's so much insecurity, first and foremost, but then you're moving late at night to come and clean Kampala. Yet they are among the least paid in KCCA. So if we are talking about people who are patriotic, I think those women, I rarely find men, I don't know, but for me I usually see women.
Yeah.
Those women are very patriotic, and I choose to crush on you. I appreciate what you do, despite that sometimes many may not see the good work that you do to clean the city.
That's true. Challenges are very many, but I can assure you, Robert, that every single time I'm on my way to work, I will find, like, say, about 3 or 4 females on the roads trying to clean and doing all the necessary things that...
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. 7 minutes past 7 a.m. You are watching the newsreel right about now. My name is Philomena Masco, joined by Felix Nkunda. And this discussion, obviously, we'll be having concerns you as an employer, but also as an employee, seeing as NSSF has come out to tighten the news, realizing that big numbers of employers, we're talking about approximately 50,000 employers, Ugandan employers, who have failed to remit workers' contribution. Now, yesterday, the acting ED for the National Social Security Fund, that is Patrick Ayota, came out to give an ultimatum of 30 days to employers to make sure that they remit their employees' contributions. Now, how do you feel about this? Do you think this will give us what we want? Will it increase the compliance? Because previously, one of the main issues and challenges we have been seeing that have been acting as a blockade for the efficiency and of execution of responsibilities of the fund is non-compliance from a big number of employers in the country. Now, At 50,000, employers have failed to remit their workers' contributions to the National Social Security Fund. And addressing journalists, Atigo came out to say that if you don't do this, there are very many penalties you stand to be a victim of. And amongst these penalties, obviously, you will be having to pay fines. Now, I don't think this is something that employers would really want to engage themselves in. In fact, there's no one who likes paying fines. It has never been a good thing at one point because it's a bit inconveniencing and it's getting out of the pocket. But yes, when you look at Section 1D of the NSSF Act, it defines an employer to include the government, a company registered or incorporated under the Companies Act 2012, and a partnership registered under the Partnership Act, and a trustee. It also includes a business registered under the law. But as you can see, there is quite a very low number of employers that have not registered with the fund. So already that is a challenge. Now, Felix, taking it from there, 30 days. Will this give us what we want? Is it the right thing to do? And before Felix even gets into that, go on and let us know. Get into our socials, Twitter, #UBCGMU, and use our WhatsApp platform 0709-602-592. And let us know how you feel about the new requirement for all employers to make mandatory remittances to the NSSF every month, or even the 30 days that were given under the new law. Let us know how you feel about this. We'll be getting into all of that. Felix.
Well, Philomena, the standards were raised high when we got, when Uganda discovered or realized the need to comply in terms of social security, later on which they decided to make law, but the same was directly to be attributed to the welfare of Ugandans that have a right to directly be contributors of this fund, and also to see value in addressing their unplanned challenges. 1, 2, social security. 3, also old age. Now, if you're keen to note that most of the people who go through hard times in third world countries fall under these 3 categories. 1, people who have had any form of disability or illnesses, which either could be chronic or life-threatening. If you've noticed, many people suffer when they get sick with some of these chronic illnesses. You can talk about diabetes, hypertension, cancerous diseases, etc. Now, that's one of the clusters. 2 was to cover for the people who have been put out of work, either by age, either by termination, by many various ways. But 3rd one is that the need to prepare fairly soft landing for many Ugandans who have been in employment. And this is entirely anchored into the absence of most of the world, third world countries, its failure to comprehend directly or indirectly the welfare of its citizens. What's more, to guarantee a good livelihood of people in those 3 categories because of the lack of good hospitalization, health care, very many things. So that's why things like NSSF come into place. Now, once NSSF was enacted under the NSSF Act, that makes it a statutory instrument body. It is there by law. Now, this legalese, or the legality that comes with the law, with this institution, is that there must be some sort of compliance, which failure of the same comes with some sort of would be punishment or whatever you may want to call it, which you're calling fine. When an institution is formed, it is given an enabling, 1, atmosphere, 2, policies and regulations and framework. 3, it must also be activated to categorically work to seek the purpose that it was put in place for. The NSSF savings are by far of importance to the saver. By far, that's the reality of the same. Away from all these things you see, NSSF constructed this or did this or did this, by far it is a good. And that's why I think a couple of years ago they used to have those NSSF, I think champion, something like that. Stories of people who have done well. I think some of them were even running this auditorium. And we used to see people who have succeeded in using the money, when they got the money, what they have done with the money, the methods of accessing, all these kind of different things. But you must also appreciate that when you're dealing with a population that is by far illiterate or informal, you may have to do twice as much as the work you have to do in a normal situation. Right? Now, the lack of appreciation of relevant information technology approaches, digitalized approaches, is what should be addressed when you talk about challenges like this.
Yes.
Non-compliance, in its own sense, Philomena, is geared by various things or reasons, or which you shouldn't be fearing to discuss. Because
and I mean, that's like even one of the biggest challenges right now that everybody is fronting.
Yeah.
Tell you.
No, we must discuss why people are not complying. And there are very many reasons. We could look out for the most important ones. One, let's look at the money basket of institutions. If you're keen to remember yesterday's discussion for both of us, how do businesses, entities, employers survive in times like this? How do entities stay on top of the waters? How? That's a big question for us to answer. Now, you cannot talk about any form of remittance when you're talking about a sinking institution that is financially struggling. Now, before we even get to give out all these reports, this percent, the question is, how many institutions, SMEs, corporate institutions, are surviving? There's a word survival. There's a word called alive in operation. Okay? Now, can we keenly say today that most of these institutions engaged in businesses are what we call, they can live to see their next AGM? Because if you want, how many of these institutions are struggling to make sure they can hold an AGM at the end of their financial year? Are these businesses growing concerns, as a matter of fact? Because in NSSF, these are remittances that have no direct return to employment. That's a matter of fact. They have no direct return to institutions. Okay? Because we are looking at employers remitting, and employees remitting, and employers remitting. But what is the direct effect of that to business growth? I think there's a 5% from the employee, from the employer. Is there a direct relationship to performance, let's say? I know these are the questions you ask, and these are the questions the employers ask. When I pay for all these employees, how does that grow my business? Because this is money out. That's one question we need to ask. Secondly, come to the realities of economics in this country. Are people earning enough to save?
Putting into consideration the economic times,
Absolutely.
how the challenges that businesses are going through, even just mere household incomes right now.
Are you earning enough to save? Because you save from what?
What are you going to save that you're not earning?
Saving relatively comes from, there must be some sort of excess. There must be an element of surplus for us to discuss savings. If in the absence of surplus, you're going to squeeze. But sometimes even off you squeezing, probably there's nothing left. That's the reality. Now, on average, in Uganda, let's say a middle-income person, how much do they earn, Philomena, on average?
600, 500.
Okay. If you take off the taxes.
Well, wait.
The income tax and what?
I
Is that
mean,
net or?
That could be probably gross.
Okay. So
net definitely
where
is
does
way
that
less
leave you?
than that.
So if you have, let's say, okay, you're putting them at, let's say 800.
Okay.
You have tax and whatever, then you end up at about maybe 700 or 600 something.
Yes.
Then NSSF, you know, then you remain probably with about maybe 570 or something. You get the point. Now, what can you do with that amount of money as a Ugandan?
In these times.
Look at how much can a 570 earner rent? Maybe 200. They stay with 300 and something. Because a house of 200, honestly I'm speaking, you're going to find it in Chengera or Nsanji. If you're going Masaka Road, or Buddo, or Katende. If you're looking at Gaza Road, you're going to go as far as some funny, as you go to Busika, wherever. You know, now that means you're going to use transport on a daily of about 10,000 and plus.
Yeah, because if you don't spend on housing, you're going to spend on transportation. One of the two, yes.
Now, you've not talked about feeding, clothing, and you're talking about someone probably who's a bank teller or somewhere who needs to look smart. God forbid you have children. Yet the reverse should be true. Should say, God bless you, you have children. You know? Now, tell us how people are going to push for compliance of NSSF. That is why previously we have been tussling to put in play a discussion called minimum wage.
Yes.
Why are we shy to talk about minimum wage? I don't know why we are shy. Because this is one of the solutions for compliance for such institutions like NSSF. If we say that a person who has at least accumulated this amount of education should not be paid below this daily or hourly, it will make us, because the elevation of earning would mean the elevation of the need to save and the availability of surplus for saving. Why are we shy to talk about, why are we tiptoeing? We are peeping when it comes to issues of minimum wage. Why?
We know that it is actually one of the absolute solutions.
People have had discussions into it will be a turn-off for investors. You see, this problem, this solution or problem is bigger than that card docket you're discussing. You know, it is bigger than. Today, you've talking, there's something the NSSF guys are talking about called voluntary subscription. Here's the thing. How much do you think, on average, people who do in the informal sector earn on a month? We can start with people who help us, our house helps. I think the most paid house help in Uganda probably will go for about 250,000. The most paid. Okay, at most 300.
I've seen a couple of people come out to say they pay their house helps about 400. And I'm thinking,
yeah,
okay. Okay. But I mean, the percentage of those,
let's look at the average, because that could be one out of 200 or 500 if 1,000. But let's look on average. A house help is paid about 100,000. Most of the households pay them 180 to 100, right? Now, what's there to save? What's there to utilize? But you're trying to pull people to save, because the general problems the problems we talked about that give need to social security, and not only for the people who are able. These are general problems. As they can happen to a Philomena, they can happen to this little house help. She can get a chronic illness, she can get an accident, she's growing old. The lady, the man who's riding a boda probably is even more prone to get all these challenges than you who sits in an office.
True.
Because of the exposure to danger they carry on a daily as they execute the modus operandi. So, I don't know if we get the point when the relevance of discussing a minimum wage in directly relating to how people can save. Now, we discuss social welfare, social security welfare in the absence of the entire crowd. But if we make such demands, like, and this should be a demand from NSSF, not even the workers, this whole thing of minimum wage, because it will help us appreciate a bigger Extortion, for example, you look at institutions who deliberately refuse to subscribe this money.
Yes.
And the remittances are there. What channels have we put in place? If someone doesn't remit year 1, month 1, month 2, month 3, we have institutions in this country who are being demanded 5 years.
You know, the MD was talking about how, and I mean, indeed, what is happening. NSSF has established very many partnerships with government agencies, ministries, and departments. And he was saying from now on, for them to conduct any business together, they're going to actually ask some of these government MDs to be able to show their NSSF certificates to show that they're already into the system and they're doing that, which is a good thing. And also, I mean, for me, I thought this was already being put into play, but if it's going to be done, it's never too late. However, what happens to the private business owners, those that actually don't do any business with government? How are they going to show that happens? Where they only, this is working for the government MDAs, but what about the people in the informal business? How are they going to get that money out of them? And how are they going to ensure, though, that they're already complying?
No, but you see, that can't be a useful approach, and that's not helpful.
It's a bit selective.
No. How many institutions an NSSF partner with? Let's be honest in here. How many?
That is, they're not government related, because most of the partnerships I've seen, it's an authority. It has something to do with government.
Those could be like, I don't think even annually they have such partnerships with more than 5. But you're talking about a bigger problem, more than just these 5 institutions you're looking at. So let's not narrow it down. I think the solutions are bigger than what you're giving us. When you tell us you will not partner with Philomena advocates and then later on in Uganda accounting for, that's cheap. The problem is bigger. Have a bigger discussion. One of the ways we have given you here, go into a discussion of minimum wage. Help Ugandans earn enough to be deducted. But people are earning so less. And let me tell you, most of the employers in these institutions, they're the ones who go to their bosses and tell them, for us, why you don't give us there? Just don't give up 10%, but don't give that percentage there.
Yes.
To be tutela yo. Most of them.
They'll tell you, let me chew my money right now. Let me use it.
Give me my money. Yes,
I have needs,
very
urgent
needs. Kids who take you to school, you're saying you're saving for me. Then after I see you in commissions, all pretending like you're sharing money on WhatsApps. Yeah? Also increase your legitimacy as an institution. Your picture. Does NSSF portray potential and trust to the people? They are saying non-compliance. These are some of the causes. They have not known of an ED at this place that hasn't been caught in a scandal. You look as past the Jamas of this world.
Is a bit wanting.
Now look at what's up. Yes, these things you want to pretend they don't matter. They matter. You must build confidence as an institution. I've asked you time and again. You see, this is the problem. Institutions like NSSF want to pretend that they are for Uganda, yet they are also there. If people working there, they are simply there for work. They are also job seekers. Now when they get there, they're not thinking beyond that building. Let me ask you, why would Uganda as a country, and I can ask this, it can be, anyone can answer, go miles away from this continent to borrow money to build dams like Karuma? Why can't the institution of the National Security Fund build those dams? Because it has the money and be in charge of power of those dams. A social security, a savers fund to build a dam and collect that money. But we go and borrow money with humongous interests. The concession loans are what? You're leaving money here for who? Now, NSSF gets money and goes to Angola, Rwanda, to build these things for those people. Now, some of us, you see, you may think all Ugandans don't understand, but the few understand, they keep this and they talk to other people. Non-compliance, these are some of the reasons. The image of the institution in charge of these funds is terribly wanting. That's why most recent you saw, even when they were before the committee, The council kept on saying, please, we care for the image of the institution. Let's leave it at that. We have learned from our mistakes. We are going to get. Why is the image not being put right?
No, why are the lessons never learned? Why are they continuously
You tell me
being
of an
learned?
ED who has been there, who hasn't been mad in any scandal. Okay? You know, this is the hard talk you don't want to get into as an institution.
Well, before we get into the hard talk indeed, our poll question, we do ask you to share your opinion about the deadline to register and pay contributions by employers directed by NSSF in the next 30 days. And there is a couple of couple people giving in feedback. There is Derek Muzamiro saying that it's really not fair for us to continue breaking our backs to comply and seeing our monies being mismanaged by NSSF executives and top management officials. Clearly, there is still a lot that they need to prove to us for us to be able to comply. I do have Peter here, Wakoba, saying it is a good move if it's beneficial to the payee, but the only worry is that the owner may not benefit from the fund, hence ending in the hands of the corrupt. So actually he says this one is directly beneficial to the employees of a company as opposed to the employer. Okay, and there is here Mike Nsubuga saying NSSF should have made this mandatory long time ago, but the timing right now is not exactly on their good side. Okay, and I have Georgina Mulangwa saying that with all these scandals that have marred that institution, they will have to do a lot to prove to us that we actually need to pay our money. If need be, the whole institution needs to be overhauled. All right, and still coming in, I do have that I have Mviri here saying that it will help many employees amass some good money once they retire. However, it should also be made quite easier for the employees to access their hard earnings and savings upon clocking the retirement age. They need to get rid of all these hardships that they put when it comes to accessibility of the funds. Well, there you go. Clearly, very many people are leaning more into the credibility of the city of the institution, saying that it has driven them away from wanting to actually comply. Even the employees themselves, even the employers as well. I mean, you talked about it.
Let me just ask you, Philomena. What CSR does NSSF? You're seeing institutions like, and it is very sad. NSSF has tried, I think they put somewhere around those, but that's not enough. You're literally living on savers' money, employers' money. What are you doing to impact the lives of employers directly? Mwina wochi, is there a katale for NSSF, makatale ke gomba, kurugudo is for NSSF, akatale ke chengeda? Because we are looking at workers. The money that most recently has been discussed in the committee can build a market, even buy land and build a market. You see, and I think it's a black man habit. It's very sad. It is attached to being black. The greed. Me, I've told you, I want you to compare, and you can challenge me. The biggest problem to this country are these people you call elites. Once people smell chalk, I think chalk goes in their brains.
It clouds their thinking. It clouds their thinking.
I think people, when oversee blackboards, they start also, the chalk is too much and there's crowded. Because, and I want to, and I extend, you can challenge me. Institutions, you look at individual businesses of unlearned people, vis-a-vis institutions that are being run by so-called educated people. People come today, professor, doctor, Simani, he worked here, he studied in Germany, he went to England, he
wrote a book,
he wrote a book, yes. he has been head of what director. The guy does so well that this is not how you steal money. You can't think and say, if I'm holding an institution like this, I'm supposed probably to, how do I attract more people? The symposiums I hold, not in Serena, how do I engage this one inch? What is it? time and again. But you go and look at these uneducated people, the rich people of Kampala. You show me a PhD holder. the Drake Rubegas, the Bosco Buonges, the Negezu. You show me a PhD holder. From selling whatever they have been selling to... Now, I think there's a contestation we must deal with. We must now start comparing education and uneducated. There's something wrong. We are getting wrong. Now, look at institutions like NSSF who are manned by some, see what they call them the best brains. He has been an accountant, what economist, what in Berlin, or who.
Who calls them the best brains?
Well, I mean, can you get those jobs? Have you looked at their CVs? You look at the CVs of the former, is it ED or MD, they call them, whatever they call
MD,
themselves?
yes.
Whatever. Have you looked at his CV? Look at how he ended. Like the Ugandan say it ended in what?
Tears, premium ones.
Look at the previous one. Did you ever see the CV of Jamwa? Did you? And the story goes on and on and on. But what is fading? I think we must rethink. Like last time I had a casual discussion with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about Kampala. And I told him, we were talking about Simanya, executive director, mayor, these councillors were beating an investor.
Yes,
then
I mean, there was a whole ruckus that was...
Yeah, then the AD comes out and said, the money for them, their sittings is over. The deputy said, now, I told these people, the problem is simple. You can't have a road mayor of a city. You can't have a director or ED of a city, and none of them is an owner in that city. You can't bring foreigners to lead. For example, you can't bring a Ching Chong to start telling us about how to run Rueda and it's the same challenges. Cities are run by city tycoons. People who know what it means to have 20 buildings in a city. They will know what the usefulness of a road. Because they have something to lose.
It directly benefits
but
them,
when you bring village heroes and then you place them in places because of cadreship, this is the same challenge with NSSF. Cadreism is killing institutions that should be credible. Okay? As I've told you, someone can't be sitting over 1 trillion shillings. What do you expect of them? You know? They have been dreaming. So we need to not deal with dreamers in institutions like this. We need to workers, people who are there to execute. That's why you've seen some institutions have been taken over by the army. Why do you think so? Because this whole thing of professionalism has let us down. But I want to ask you, if you're telling, what do you know? If you ask you off cuff, and you're an elite, you are in the media, you're on TV, you're on radio, Philomena, what do you know about NSSF? What do you answer? You the elite, what would you answer? Don't keep quiet. What would you
want
answer?
Me to give the scandals?
Yes, because we are assisting our Uganda. No, not scandals. I don't know. Is that all you know?
That's the biggest I know about it.
I know they sit at workers' house. At least I know where they sit. I know that.
You know where the building is.
But you know, they are more famous for the scandals. And this is not deception, Philomena.
Yeah, because if you mention NSSF right now, the first thing
they'll talk about, there was a Jamwe,
yeah.
There was now, is it Biaruhanga or
Yes.
whatever? There was a former who was in parliament. There was someone who had the WhatsApp. There was a department that had the family that would sit, have a clan meeting. In
the executive board was this and this, self-appointed. Yes.
Now, is that good for an institution that holds workers' money? Because when you talk about MTN, someone will run and say, there was an MTN marathon. At least someone can talk, then you can start about the GB, the takeover was and what. But there's a bigger thing in the head. When you talk about Kabaka, you say, hey, Airtel is a Kabaka's run. Like, what comes to your mind off head when you talk about NSSF? Before you come to threaten people about non-compliance, say, you want partner. Don't partner with me if you don't want. Don't narrow down this issue to small. The problem is bigger. What institute, as I've told you, NSSF must be in charge of something big in this country. A big institution. I've given you one of the examples. Power. Power, because they have the capacity. You're giving money to institutions that are falling. You saw what they were being questioned in Parliament. I think they gave money to Kajase something. All that. Where is the return on value? Anyway, all that said, there's a lot that leaves to be desired. You will blame the employers for not remitting, but have you given them? You see, for some of us who have parents or who stay in family, who have grown up in family settings, you can't come home, and I never saw this with my father or my grandfather, the late. I never saw these guys come home to say, why didn't you go to school? They could only ask that when they're sure they paid
the school fees.
School fees.
Yes.
You can't have the nerve to come and tell people, comply and say, cover your part. People, let me tell you, Ugandans fear for these things. Ugandans fear for disability to be the time when they are not able. That's the reality, and all of us do. Ugandans fear the time when they are not. You see, that's why insurance companies today have become more famous than NSSF. People will go for these life policies.
Yes.
You go at IRA, they will tell you the Jubilee insurances of this life, the Sanlam, the Prudentials, the UAP.
They would rather have these
people feel more comfortable,
policy as opposed to
that I'll save for my 10 years, and they have targeted when they retire. And people are talking employers into that. They're saying, no, Zewama boss, akasente kan kampere Jubilee. After my contract, bajja kumpa a lump sum with interest, because there's a bit of assurance and you can take them on. Let's build confidence in this institution, but secondly, let's have the bitter discussion. Why don't we discuss, and NSSF as a custodians of the man of workers, let's discuss minimum wage.
They should be at the forefront for this conversation.
You cannot bring to...
It helps them check off a number of things on their list. Of things. Actually, very many things.
I think with due respect to the guys at NSSF, and not that we have anything against you, but even if there was, it could be the reality. I think there's a lot that desires to be done. Your image is terribly wanting out there, and it is scary for both employers and employees. So let's first work on that. Credibility is key.
It's very key, and it's one of the biggest things that has been fronted even by people responding.
That's a
matter
telling
of
you
fact. We have trust issues right now.
But
what's
where
the
does
guarantee?
It come from?
Yeah, what's the guarantee that our money is, if we complied 100%? I mean, how are we sure that our money is going to be given to us and it's going to do what it's supposed to do? Anyway, the conversation is still going on our social media, but for now, we'll divert into the papers. The Daily Nation, the big story, wanted sponsors of Kenyatta farm attack. And they're giving you quite 3 gentlemen there that are being looked for as we speak right now in terms of violent protests, where President Ruto yesterday did come out to condemn impunity as AU called for talks. The back stops with you. And still looking at more stories, keep off new offices, CAS is told as court to decide fate. And 800 tycoons drop off dollar billionaires list. This shows, of course, slow growth and weakened currency that have taken the biggest percentage of the blame. And equity shareholders set for 15 billion shillings windfall. Away from the Daily Nation and looking into the Citizen, how new crop insurance plan will benefit farmers. East Africa loses opportunities to turn West into money, and revealed likely impact of Kamala Harris's visit. And still looking at more legislation news, ESC refugee policy set for EALA tabling. The Citizen, Daily Nation, Daily Monitor, and the New Vision for you this morning. Morning coming up with weather and climate. Good morning.
Glow as you are with the new Spark 10 series smartphone from Airtel in partnership with Techno. Own the timelines with picture-perfect selfies using the 32-megapixel selfie camera, 256 GB storage, G88 gaming processor, and a strong battery to last the whole day. Toakana.
The Spark 10 smartphone comes with free 3 GB from Airtel and 100% bonus on weekly and monthly bundles every month for 3 months, so you can stay connected to a world of possibilities. Dial *100*5# to enjoy free data. The new Spark 10 is available in all selected Techno shops countrywide. Airtel, the smartphone network in partnership with Techno. Stop at nothing.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. our nice good weather, and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different, even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Ginger Tea drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
The Chillax bundles from Airtel have been upgraded. Introducing Voice Chillax bundles. No validity, no expiry, no worries. Dial *100 *1 hash, select voice bundles and choose your preferred Voice Chillax bundle today. Talk longer with loved ones across Uganda with Voice Chillax bundles that don't expire. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello? Hello? This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera, refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Pick of the day on UBC. Objective and non-partisan.
Honorable Minister, there were a number of points. I want to start with you.
Straight from the hearts of open-minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So when
people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand.
That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality. So what I'm saying
that's
is
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak low.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Right now we want to get on the roads and look at the traffic situation. Now we're looking at areas of, that is Mulago, Chebando, Kamocha. If you're using some of those roads around there to get into town, we see where there is a bit of, some clear traffic that can be easy for you to navigate. Now we're looking at, if you're coming in from Chebando, it looks like that is quite clear off the northern bypass. Also some of the roads that could be easier for you. Joining through Mulago looks to be quite okay this morning, indicated by the green lines over there, meaning that that could actually be quite okay to use. Also Kisingiri Street, that is the road also that connects with Mawanda Road, that looks to be quite clear. You do have that is both lanes looking like you have clear traffic right there. Also, Gayaza Road this morning looks to be quite intense in terms of traffic. If you're coming in from the northern bypass using Gayaza Road, that is towards off Kalere, towards Mulago, that is quite intense in terms of traffic. You might want to also consider that. and as you head towards town. But also you look at some of the roads right there. Bombo Road looks to be okay. Off Waise, that looks to be quite clear to use this morning. But off the roundabout, you look at some of the roads that are connecting. That is Binaisa Road. It looks to be quite intense in terms of traffic. So you might want to also consider away from that, you could actually have more traffic building up. Makere Hill Road towards that area, you also have a few traffic incidences over there. Binaisa Road getting intense in terms of traffic, as well as you head towards the roundabout. But also you look at some of the roads joining in. Kira Road from the start, that is off, that is Nakaima Road, that connection right there, it's quite okay in terms of traffic. But then again, as you join in towards Kira Road towards the roundabout, that is why you have intense traffic building up. So that Mulago area is also having much traffic. But then again, as you join onto a useful road, that is where you have the green lines indicating quite clear traffic over that area. Away from that, we also want to look at the weather update for this morning. We'll be tapping in from our satellites, looking at what is expected for today morning. We have already cloudy systems that are starting to build up, that is across the Lake Victoria area. Now we expect that will be bringing in a little bit of rain, especially to the western side of the lake, but also we still continue to see mostly sunny weather for the northern part of the country. And our hopes is that for today, by the way, we could be looking at more pickup in terms of hot weather conditions, especially for the northwestern side, that is towards areas of Arua, Yumbe, where even as we speak, we do have cloudy conditions in play that are already being indicated on the satellite, and those might help to bring in a few showers over there. Otherwise, Karamoja region, eastern Uganda, we continue to have mostly dry weather for this morning. We already have clouds starting to build up for midwestern Uganda. We're looking at areas of Hoima, Masindi, and that is extending towards the Rwenzori area. That is where we look like we could be having a few rains as well. Now the system over the lake, we're looking at that being headed for the central area of Lake Victoria, that is towards areas of Kampala, Mukono, Wakiso, and Tebe. We could be looking at rains later on as the day progresses, but for now we're looking at that system coming in from the eastern side. So areas of Jinja, early morning we did start off with a few drizzles. It looks like those are starting to clear away, but we still have that system in place, so most likely it might also bring in a few rains later on. Southwestern Uganda as well, around Kabale Highlands, that is where we do expect that we might have a few rains as well for this morning. We'll look at the forecast that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority, also to look at the numbers in terms of temperatures, what we're expecting for today. It is kind of cool for the southern sector. That continues for the next couple of days as we look at much more of the systems actually that are affecting our weather for this time of the year. The forecast indicates a light showers that is forecast for Masaka, Kalisizo, Zimbabwe and Rakai. That will be across several places, also starting off chilly at 24 degrees centigrade. We're looking at southwestern Uganda, Bara, Ibanda, Bushenyi and Rulizi. We do expect rains to come through as the morning progresses. Also that will be starting off with a chilly 24 degrees. Now we look at the eastern side of Lake Victoria, where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga, as well as Jinja. We're forecasting isolated showers. Those will be coming in as well. For this morning across several places, temperatures at 24 degrees centigrade this morning. Now across Mount Elgon Highlands, we're looking at Mbale, Ududa, Boko and Sironko. We're forecasting isolated showers, so that will be across several places later on as the morning progresses, and that system will be crossing over into the afternoon, bringing rains across those areas, starting off at 23 for this morning. Now we look at some of the areas across eastern Uganda. That is where we do have Soroti, Katakwi, we have Amoria and Kumi. We are forecasting isolated showers. Also that will be starting off with 25 degrees centigrade. The eastern part of Central, where we have Ruwero, Woblenzi, Bururi, we do have Nakaseke, Nakasokola in that category as well. We're likely to have rains later on as the morning progresses. That will also be crossing over into the afternoon, starting off with a chilly 25 degrees. We look at the central part of northern Uganda. That is where we have Gulu, Adjumani, Kitgum and Badel. We are forecasting light showers. Also, that will be coming in later. And also temperatures will be starting off at 25 degrees centigrade. That system is likely to clear later on as we head towards the afternoon. That is over central northern Uganda. Now across the central part of Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Mukono, we do have Kampala, Entebbe and Wakiso in that category as well. We do expect rains as the morning progresses. Also much more of that will be crossing over into the afternoon. We're starting off at 24 degrees centigrade for this morning. Now we look at also what is happening beyond borders. We do have more reports coming in from Ecuador, from recently hit areas by thunderstorms as well as heavy showers. We do know that there was a landslide over the area, that is parts of Ecuador, where so far the reports that are coming through are indicating, that was by yesterday, they're indicating that the death toll has risen to 11, and families and rescue groups are already on ground to ascertain more damages. Now there are reports that there are still more people missing, especially trapped underground by the collapsed buildings from the effect of the landslides. What we do know is that most of the areas that have been affected, around a small city of Alausi, also a closer stadium where people are still on ground and they're refusing to leave until their people are found. Now this landslide was triggered by heavy storms that have affected Ecuador for the last couple of days, and of course also that crossed over. We do know that a similar event was also reported in Peru recently, that is triggered by the same systems of rains that did cause a lot of havoc across the area. Now also a lot of events have been happening in Ecuador, especially for this time of the year. You consider the fact that they always have also rainy conditions for this time. But then again, there is a realization of intense extreme weather events that are connected also to the climate variabilities over the area. And you look at the intensity and the frequency now that countries have had to deal with. Now it is also among some of the nations that are being worst hit by the effect of climate change as well. You look at the fact that even it is a hilly area, so people living across some of those areas, especially in Alausi, that is the part of Ecuador that was affected, is actually prone to extreme weather events, and most of those will actually keep going on if we look at climate variabilities and the fact that some of these areas are getting unsafe. But also the government did come in to say that they are looking at ways of how they can rehabilitate people, or also make sure that they do have habitats that are not living closer to hilly areas, make sure that they are away from some of these dangers associated with being close to hilly areas in terms of extreme weather events. Now, talking about extreme weather events and climate change, a group of women that is from Switzerland are suing the European government for allowing them to actually suffer the effects of climate change. Well, they have taken it to court and they are saying, look, we have had our human rights violated and we need answers. They have had a case involving thousands of retired Swiss women, and that is already being had at the European Court in France. The building right there on the screen is the European Court in France. And yesterday they were looking into a case that is actually coming in from these women, saying that for them they want, they're fronting accumulation of 6-year legal battle in which they claim that their government did violate their human rights. Well, there is a campaign group as well known as Greenpeace that has initiated this on their behalf, and will be heard today actually in the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights. Now they are fronting the fact that they have had a lot of effects of climate change in their homes, in their neighborhoods, and that is unacceptable. It is all a sign that their government has not paid attention to climate change and has failed to create action, which is why they are suffering. Now, in a sign of its importance, 8 of the other governments, that is Romania, Austria, Slovakia, Norway, Italy, Portugal and Ireland, have joined the case as well. Well, at least one of them has echoed ban in calling for its dismissal. Well, 6 lawyers are already on it, including some of UK's King Council lawyers who are alongside the team, and they have prepared the case. Well, they are saying that these women, according to their age and gender, it places them in the category that was cited by the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change as being the highest risk of temperature-related mortalities. So they are saying the reports are clearly showing that we are at high risk, and of course they have also been linked to the fact that heat waves have also become more frequent and they affect the elderly as we know it. And the case is using they're using emerging evidence that was also presented recently by the IPCC report, and also some of the reports, including the World Health Organization document that linked some of these risk severe illnesses to the drying, to the heat waves and the rising temperatures. Now, at least 30% of the heat-related deaths in Switzerland are attributed to climate change in the recent years, as cited by the study that was carried out in 2021. This is what they are actually basing on to say, look, Switzerland has ignored the fact that we are at the forefront of the effects, and we need court to come in and force them to put action, or even create a way that the elderly can live amidst the changes in climate change. But also the lawyers are calling for more concentration on emission reduction targets to fix what is already going on in terms of lack of climate action. That is Switzerland for you. But what is interesting about this case is that you now have countries that are joining the report from Switzerland to give out the same issue, and of course putting a lot of pressure on the European Court in France to even get hearings. Well, they're presenting a lot of documents and a lot of evidence about the fact that they have been affected, and hopefully that brings in the action that they are demanding for. That is it for now. We do have a Good Morning Uganda agenda that will be coming in right after this, and then we'll be going in for sports. My name is Molin Kenyana, wishing you a good morning.
Chillax bundles from Airtel have been upgraded. Introducing Voice Chillax bundles. No validity, no expiry, no worries. Dial *100 *1 hash, select voice bundles and choose your preferred Voice Chillax bundle today. Talk longer with loved ones across Uganda with Voice Chillax bundles that don't expire. Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC. Objective and non-partisan.
Honorable Minister, there were a number of points. I want to start with you.
Straight from the hearts of open-minded men and women.
Money tends to move faster at night. So when people are not counting,
don't take it for granted.
Candid and authentic.
Because Uganda is not Thailand. That's not correct, and we should stop that kind of mentality. So what I'm saying
that's
is
a trick question. Don't answer.
I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that.
Tell him you speak low.
I think that's where we are beginning to have a problem.
Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
This weekend on UBC.
Arkwright City, located along Entebbe Road, is a modern city covering almost 2 square miles, which in the near future will hit a population of over 3,000 residents, businesses and other facilities. Dr. Anatoly Kamgisha is a family man who has forced his brand into the elite circles, becoming a true and undisputable authority in a sector that was not familiar with private developers. He took time off his busy schedule to talk to us about his dream, passion, and what keeps him motivated.
I believe so much in creating solutions society needs. When I imagine something and it comes, I feel I should implement it. And the way I've told you, I want to now start tackling the slums.